Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to change your rear brakes on a 2008 Nissan Sentra, and these are drum brakes. This is your brake drum. There are two threaded holes here that if this drum is really tight, you can put two bolts in there, tighten them down, and that'll pull your drum off. This one actually is not too tight, so I'm just going to yank that off. And then we've got a few hold down springs and springs here to take off. There's two here. These are the hold down springs. There's a spring at the bottom connecting the two shoes together, a spring at the top in the back connecting the shoes up at the top, and then this spring right here is what holds on this brake adjustment tab that turns this star adjuster. So I'll usually start with that one, and you can use some vice grips, some pliers to pull that this direction. I've got this little tool that has a little notch with a threaded rod, and so it clamps down on that, makes it a little bit easier. So we'll grab onto that and tighten that down just enough to where you can pull it this direction and take that first spring off, and we'll set that down. And then this little tab will just come out, and you just remember the orientation so you don't get mixed up, and we'll set that down. Now I'm going to take off the hold down springs, and that also helps if you've got a tool specifically for it, but this one has two different sizes, and there's other styles as well. But if you don't have this tool, you can push and turn by using a pair of pliers or vice grips, but if you see, you just kind of push that by holding the back, and that'll just come right off. Push and turn that one, does the same thing, and set those down. Now I'm going to take off the bottom spring down here, and a pair of diagonals or pliers is fine. There's not enough space for me to use that tool, and I just grab onto that, pull it, and pull off that spring down there. Now up at the top, it's a little trickier, but now that you've got that off, you can kind of just work the brake shoe towards you. And if you just pry it and pull a little bit, you can get that spreader or separator off, and then the brake shoe will come off itself. So we can take that threaded rod again. Remember the orientation so that you don't get mixed up. We'll get that cleaned up and put back in, and then this spring, the other end, is out. So now this side of the brakes is where the mechanical arm is attached, and this is your parking brake arm. So we need to undo that spring. And so to pull this spring back, if you can just get some diagonals and just pull that back with a little bit of pressure and hold down, then you can just slide that out and let go. And then we'll take this over to the bench to undo this little horseshoe type of clip, and we'll put this arm onto the new brake shoe, which already has the pin installed, which is nice. Okay, so I've got this brake shoe in my vise here, and this little arm is what we're going to take off, which there's just this little horseshoe type or shaped clip that's bent around there. And really, if you just get a screwdriver and maybe get underneath it and kind of pry it, kind of just tap in there a little bit. If you can open it up just a little bit, I've found that you'll be able to get a smaller screwdriver if you can get a little opening or slot in the back and tap that in just like so, and then you just kind of pry it that direction, it'll come off. Just takes a little bit of twisting and prying there, but there's the little clip out. So we'll take off the arm, and then we can take out the old shoe and put in the new one. Put it in the same direction so that we can have the vise hold it in place for us. And these shoes have already got that pin installed, which is nice. Some kits you have to pound the pin in there too, but we'll just put that arm right back on. And we are reusing this clip. Some kits come with a new one, but I'm just going to pry this back on there. If you just kind of squeeze it on with some pliers, Get that around this direction. And then to close that, I found that diagonals work the best. You just grab onto that outside and close that up. And give it a tap, flatten it out. And this is good to put back in. So to put this shoe back on, we do want to reconnect the cable here. And first we need to pull this spring back. And so if you hold the end with a pair of pliers and just a pair of diagonals up on this side, you can kind of get underneath there and slide that upward. And you're just kind of barely clamping down on those diagonals just enough to hold onto that cable. And then we can slide that up into place and put it back where it goes. All right. So now to put this back on, I'm actually going to put the hold down springs on first, which is opposite of the way that I took that off, but kind of helps to have those in place. And I'm just going to put this one on. You just line that up with the notch that's in there, push it down and twist it a quarter turn, and that will lock that down. Now we'll do the same thing with the other side. You just kind of put your hand on the back to hold that rod straight and put on the other side, hold down spring. Push it down, turn it a quarter turn, and that's on. Okay, so I've got the hold down springs on. The next spring I'm going to put on is the spring that goes in the back. And I'm not going to put on the spreader adjustment rod here yet. I'm going to put this on first. And so I'm just going to clamp down on this spring with that tool. Again, you could use pliers or vice grips, but I'm just going to hook this in here first. It hooks in here in the end, and then pull it on. So that's in place. Now with the threaded adjuster rod here, I'm going to tighten it all the way in. So I'm going to tighten this all the way in so that I have a little bit more room to work. And then you just put it in. Now you'll notice there's a large notch and a small notch. The small notch goes out, and that's for that adjuster, that little tab that will adjust this. And since you only have that little spring on there, you can slide this in, and it will fit right into that notch. And of course we will adjust that back out once we have the drum back on. I'll show you how to do that, but we can hit it a few times here without the drum on, and you can see that we're just unthreading that and spreading that back out. And there we go. Okay, the next spring I'm going to put on is the one down here in the bottom. So you just want to pull those shoes in and just make sure that they're seated on the little base plate here. And again, this is done fairly easy with a pair of diagonals. You just hook it into one side first and then just pull that tight, and that's locked into place. So we just need to put this adjustment tab, which that's what, as you back up, that will keep your brakes tight, and that just sits over that rod. Kind of have to pry this one on. It's a little tight. Okay. There we go. And that sits in that notch there as well. And then we just need to put on that last spring, and that spring hooks in the same hole as the spring in the back. And so I'm going to use this same tool to clamp onto this and pull that, hook it in. There we go. Okay, so everything's back together. Sometimes when you're doing brakes, you kind of want to just line up the shoes so that they're concentric or in line with where the backing plate and where that drum is going to be. Okay, so we've got everything on back together. We just got to put on our drum, and in this case we grabbed a new drum. These old drums were worn out and the other side had gone metal to metal, so we're just replacing them both. But we'll just throw this one on, and you can see that there's a hole right here, and if you line that up with that star adjuster wheel, you can actually reach in through there and you can adjust this and adjust it outward until you got it tight enough. And what I like to do is get it tight enough to where with the tire on it will spin 2 full revolutions. So right now it'll do about one. With the tire on it'll be about 2, and of course those will burn in a little bit as you drive, but just have the little plug to put back in there that came off the old drum, and you're good to go. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.